So now Sean Payton is angling for the Rams coaching job. What a dirtball. Hey, are you happy with the Lakers' progress? And speaking of progress, Dodgers hitting coaches love a challenge. Here's Jason Heyward. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city of the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is December 13th, 2022. My wife is extremely happy. She knows I got her one of those handheld video game things for Christmas. She also knows that we're getting a flat screen. She doesn't want it for the handheld. She wants to play Mario Kart on the flat screen. She's so excited. It's a beautiful thing. But hey, while we all wait for jolly old Saint Nick, i.e. me, to pay for this, let's talk LA sports. If you like the content we put out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. That's why I created the show. Before we go through the news and notes, quick look at the scoreboard. The Chargers are back in the AFC playoff bracket after beating Miami last night, 23-17. There's a rapid recap of that game on the Chargers playlist. Lakers 124, Pistons 117. LeBron James scores 35 points. Anthony Davis adds 34. Now, a 3-3 road trip, it's not a bad result, but we're going to break down a lot more about the Lakers in just a minute. Columbus 6, Kings 5 in overtime. Anze Kopitar scores twice. Let's be real, the Kings are just a frustrating hockey team to watch. Meanwhile, today, Celtics at Clippers, 7:30. Now, I'd love to give you guys a so-called finals preview and hype it up like that, but not until the Clippers actually field a consistent lineup to where we can believe they're a championship kind of team. For tonight, Norman Powell is going to play for the Clippers. Al Horford is out for Boston, by the way. NFL Network is reporting that former Saints coach Sean Payton would prefer to be in Southern California if he returned to coaching, whether it be for the Chargers and, of course, whether it be for the Rams. Previously, sources said he was intrigued by the Chargers and the Arizona Cardinals because of their young quarterbacks. And by the way, that is, of course, slimy. You do not stab current coaches in the back. But hey, what about Sean Payton? Just because those coaches are on the hot seat, by the way, you're not supposed to be so damn craven about it. Now, this is how Ian Rappaport of NFL Network put the story. Potentially, if somehow, some way, the Rams job or the Chargers job came open, that is something certainly Sean Payton would take a look at. Potentially, somehow, if it's in the realm of imagination, if we wished upon a star, call me maybe. I mean, I've never really liked Sean Payton. I know the man can coach, but as a person, I've never really liked him. I get that Brandon Staley is on the hot seat. I get that the Rams haven't had a solid year in defense of their title. But you don't stab current coaches in the back. You are not that important, Sean. And by the way, no way in hell do the Rams want to fire Sean McVay. This, by Payton's crew, is a preemptive shot across the bow in case McVay is looking around the landscape and saying to himself, you know what, screw this, I'll just be a TV analyst for working one day a week and then I'll go home to my smoking hot wife. So it's tacky, he's tacky, I don't like reporting it, but there you go. ESPN asked about Baker Mayfield starting for the Rams in 2023. One of their dopey overreaction segments that they like. They even come out and say, hey, we're asking if this is an overreaction. Here's your answer. It's an overreaction. Stafford would have to retire. Mayfield would have to be so impressive that McVay wouldn't want to look elsewhere, and McVay loves coaching quarterbacks. So stop. It's not happening. The Lakers not only finished 3-3 on their road trip, but right now they are 3 games out of 6th place in the Western Conference, which means they would even skip the play-in round if they came down to it. Now, they were a little hamstrung over the road trip, and this is where we start to learn more about how Darvin Ham thinks. Basically, if Anthony Davis gets in foul trouble, and he did against Joel Embiid in of the 76ers on Friday, LA will go to a 2-3 zone to keep people in rebounding position, and also to try to force shots coming from the outside. Also, he has pushed LeBron James to play center, although Wenyen Gabriel is considered the primary backup big man. LeBron James will play center. Now, you may be wondering about Thomas Bryant. I certainly hyped up Thomas Bryant before the season started. The problem with Thomas Bryant is he's been one-dimensional. He's been all offense. Other things we've learned about the Lakers, Austin Reeves continues his push for a starting spot. Ham prefers him coming off the bench. He's been shooting well. You team him with Russell Westbrook and Bryant, and you get a big, massive offensive push off the bench. But Reeves is averaging 14 points per game since November 11th. Now, I would ask you, because of all the things that we're learning about the Lakers, are you satisfied? The Lakers finished a 6-game road trip that included Philadelphia and Milwaukee, two of the league's best. They beat Milwaukee, took the other, Philly, to overtime. Are you satisfied with the progress, even though the Lakers are currently still 4 games under 500? Now, Shams Charania of The Athletic is a guy I trust. So, when there are trade rumors, I'll mention ones he brings out. The Lakers prioritizing shooting in trade talks, such as for Detroit's Bojan Bogdanovic, or Cam Reddish or Evan Fournier of the Knicks. Bogdanovic is not exactly going to be easy to acquire, though. He's become a team leader for a young Pistons roster. Coach Ham returned to Detroit. Normally, I shy away from those, guy returns home stories, because first of all, he's already returned home again and again and again, both as a player and as an assistant coach. But I have to tell you, the LA Times wrote a compelling piece on the Saginaw, Michigan native, which brought up the fact that he was shot in the face at age 14. And it's something that he says he still has PTSD over, which is deep. It's basically, after surviving the gunshot, it became one of the driving forces in his life. One of the reasons that he pushes himself so bloody hard, because he had a brush with death. Saginaw Pass, Detroit, is the most violent place in Michigan. So violent, in fact, that when Ham was a teenager, he would have been happy to enlist in the military just to get away. But a junior college coach at Colorado needed a rebounder. Junior college. So obviously he was not a 5-star recruit. The area is so violent, Ham's brother was shot and killed 3 hours after the two had spoke, which led to Ham seeing his father weep for the first time in his life. The trauma is so deep that Ham actually credits PTSD for backboard breaking dunks. He was so angry at life, he would literally be tearing apart backboards as a result of what had happened to him as a youngster. So for all the shallow drama that you read about the LA Lakers, for all the palace intrigue, for all the silly sniping as if you're watching Game of Thrones or a soap opera, you have to admit that this is the stuff that makes you root like hell for a guy like Darvin Ham. On a podcast called Club Shay Shay, Magic Johnson said the reason he resigned from his position as Lakers president a few years ago was he wanted to fire then coach Luke Walton. Now, if you remember, Jeannie Buss said her approach is always to gather many opinions from people she trusts before making a major decision. The other people in the room at that point wanted to keep Walton, so Magic said, hey, I'm going to leave. Now, I realize Magic made a series of errors as a team president, but keeping Walton, not wanting him around, Magic was right about that. Let's be real. And besides, all's well that ends well. That resignation was a couple of years ago, but Buss still reaches out to Magic Johnson for input, which he happily gives. There is a report linking the Dodgers to free agent outfielder Dansby Swanson, who is on our list of players the Dodgers allegedly want to acquire. I would go into detail, but the idiot who wrote that story has falsely reported that the San Francisco Giants signed Aaron Judge a week or so ago. So well done, John Heyman. If you think I'm going to believe you about Dansby Swanson rumors, park that truck off the edge of the pier and just drown to the bottom of the ocean. I don't buy it. I did read an analytics piece on Jason Heyward, the former stud outfielder who was signed to a minor league deal with LA a couple of days ago. The guy apparently spoke with a couple of coaches. The reports are that Heyward was always a little motiony in the batter's box, fidgety, if you will, trying to get his body comfortable. And that's fine if you're using it to stay loose, but not if you start adding so many kinks and hitches to your swing that you ruin your swing in the process. Your hands, coaches will tell you, should be along the ride for the swing. They should not guide the bat. They should not control the bat or the swing. Just be along for the ride. So I'm assuming that means that the Dodgers' task is to simplify Heyward's swing, to try to get rid of a lot of those hitches. Ultimately, I guess what they're saying is if Dodgers can get positive results from Trace Thompson, Jason Heyward is a possibility as well. Saturday's Clippers game in Washington was the first time John Wall played there since the Wizards traded him to Houston in 2020. He was given the return of a welcoming hero, which moved him enough to say he would not close the door on playing for the Wizards again. Quote, "I'm going to continue to show my love and support for this city and the people that have always been there for me, and that's never going to change," unquote. I wouldn't say he wants out of LA, mind you. He won't be a free agent until 2024. Might be one of those sign a one-day contract to retire as a sort of things. Georgia State linebacker Jamil Muhammad, who had 44 tackles last year, has entered the transfer portal and has already committed to play for USC next year. The Trojans also added a punter. Eddie Lapicki was an all Pac-12 selection from Arizona State. He averaged 45.9 yards per punt last year as a sophomore, 8th in the nation. Hang time was 4.1 seconds, 19th in the nation. So I would assume that's a pretty impressive upgrade, I should say, for the special teams. UCLA also upgraded their special teams. They have added a punter through the transfer portal as well. Will Powers is a redshirt senior. He also played at an Ivy League school. He averaged 39.7 yards per punt last year. The LA Times also reports that UCLA has lost backup quarterback Chase Artoporius. He is a graduate student, but he hasn't thrown a pass as a collegian. So, with all due respect to the guy, not exactly a needle mover. But you let me know what you think. I'm really intrigued about the Lakers right now. Not that I think that they're in position to win a title, but man, they are showing a ton of fight. And what do you think about the possibility of Sean Payton trying to angle his way either with the Rams or the Chargers? Let me know what you think in the comments thread. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports here every day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.